Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, Transport Authority says a driver in viral video charged with dangerous and reckless driving. The Transport Authority says the driver who was shown in a viral video operating a vehicle while sitting in a passenger's lap in the driver's seat has been slapped with several charges following a successful investigation. In a statement on Thursday, the authority said a joint operation with the Jamaica Constabulary Force resulted in the driver being taken into custody and charged with dangerous driving, operating with excess passengers, operating without insurance coverage, a Transport Authority badge, uniform, and operating contrary to the terms and the conditions of his road license. In addition, the authorities said the motor vehicle was examined by the Island Traffic Authority and found in breach of the standard or the law of a public passenger vehicle. As a result, the plates were removed from the vehicle. He identified himself as a Calvin Cameron while issuing a public apology on video. However, Transport Authority Managing Director Ralston Smith says he is considering other actions against the driver in accordance with their suspension and revocation policy. Further, the Transport Authority and the Jamaica Constabulary Force say they will continue to intensify monitoring and enforcement activities of public passenger vehicles to ensure public safety and compliance with the laws. Smith is reminding operators of PPV that they are entrusted with the lives of their passengers and have a duty of care to all road users. He stressed that these kind of driving behaviors have the potential to endanger the lives of commuters and road users in general. In the meantime, the authority is encouraging the public to fully utilize its WhatsApp 876-551-8196 or 876-926-8912 and the Drive Safe app to report the various infractions that may be committed by PPV operators so that the appropriate sanctions can be applied. Additionally, the Transport Authority is encouraging members of the commuting public to choose only legal public passenger vehicles as their mode of transportation. Curfew imposed in sections of St. Catherine. A 48-hour curfew has been imposed in sections of the Homestead and the McVickers Lane area in St. Catherine. The curfew began at 6 p.m. on Thursday and will remain in effect until 6 p.m. Saturday, July 13. The boundaries of the curfew are Homestead, north from the intersection of Old Harbor Road and Lawrence Drive, traveling along Lawrence Drive to the intersection of Lawrence Drive and the St. John's Road. East from the intersection of St. John's Road and Lawrence Drive, travel along St. John's Road to the Gully Bank vicinity of the Spanish Town Bypass. West from the Gully Bank and Old Harbor Road to the intersection of Old Harbor Road and Lawrence Drive. In the McVickers Lane area, north from the train line to Cromarty and the McVickers Lane, along McVickers Lane to the intersection of Old Harbor Road and McVickers Lane. South from the intersection of Old Harbor Road and Morgan's Lane, along Old Harbor Road and McVickers Lane. East from the intersection of McVickers Lane and Old Harbor Road, traveling about to Old Harbor Road in the vicinity of Morgan's Lane. West from the ending of the southern boundary, traveling along the train line from Cromarty and McVickers Lane to Old Harbor Road. During the hours of the curfew, all persons within its boundaries are required to remain within their premises unless otherwise authorized by the ground commander. Jamaican family gets a 12-month reprieve amid a Canada deportation threat. A Jamaican family who fled the country and is facing deportation from Canada has been given a year to prove integration in the North American country after being granted a 12-month temporary resident permit. George Lindo, his wife Jalandre, and their 4 children, including Tamari, a rising track and field star and Olympic hopeful, and the 4-year-old Tamilia, who is a Canadian, have been issued work and study permits after a countrywide outcry. The Lindo family said they fled to Canada in 2019 to escape targeted violence in Jamaica. During those 12 months, they must find some other way to get a permanent resident status and a permanent immigration status. If not, they become undocumented again, said Said Hussain, Executive Director of Migrant Workers Alliance for Change, which has been assisting the family. But what has been happening in Canada, Hussain told the news on Thursday, is that the central government has promised a regularization program, permanent resident status for undocumented people, but has not yet delivered on it since its announcement in December 2021. He said if the program is implemented, the Linda family may apply. If not, they may apply for humanitarian and compassionate considerations. This would be a second application on those grounds should the family take the latter route, having been denied the first time. So they would be making the same application, hoping for a different result, Hussain said. The family's deportation was scheduled for Wednesday, July 10, but it was halted after nearly 2,000 people wrote letters to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Immigration Minister Mark Miller. Hundreds of others made phone calls calling on the federal government to take action. Hussain said the first legal application for humanitarian and compassionate considerations was turned down incorrectly and noted that the family's immigration attorney, Aidan Simardon, has already appealed this. He said success rates vary. Efforts by the news to reach Simardon for comment were unsuccessful. One of the main criteria for successful humanitarian application is integration into Canada. You prove integration by showing many different things, including economics, jobs, friends, and being a part of a community, said Hussain. The fact that Tamari is now an Olympic hopeful would be seen as a sign of integration into Canada and may result in a positive decision, we hope. But again, as I said, it's impossible to predict the outcome, Hussain said. In a statement posted on Migrant Workers Alliance for Change's website, George said his family went through much tribulation and stress to get to this point. He said that having the one-year reprieve feels like a breath of fresh air. While the journey towards a permanent residency continues, this TRP is significant and brings renewed hope for the future. I'm grateful to all parties involved for their continued and unwavering support. At the same time, this should not have happened and should not happen to anyone. I urge the government to keep their promise and regularize all undocumented people, the father said. George, a former political activist for the People's National Party, is said to have survived 3 murder attempts on his life. Simardon said the status should have been granted to the family upon their arrival in the country. He said many others like them are deported and killed. To stop this from happening again, the government must grant a permanent resident status to undocumented people arriving in Canada to make a better life, he said. Further, Migrant Workers Alliance for Change said Tamari is an exceptional athlete with deep ties to his community and deserves to remain in Canada. The organization said every day at least 40 people are torn away from their families and communities and deported to places of danger and death, despite today's promise to ensure equal rights for undocumented people. Every one of them is a beloved champion of their communities, and each of them deserves a life and a status, the organization said. Crisis: DCP Bailey laments youth involvement in crime. Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime Fitz Bailey believes a crisis exists among the youth amid a worrying upsurge of criminal activities across that group. DCP Bailey says over the last 6 years, the number of people under age of 18 who have been responsible for serious crimes, including murders, rape, shootings, and assault, has been noticeably increasing. Some 3,621 young people were killed by other young people. That's a crisis. 2,745 of our citizens were shot and injured by young people, and then raped 1,846 young people, 18 and under, were responsible for over 10,000 incidents of assault. For firearm offenses, it was in excess of 7,000, he bemoaned. The senior cop said to cauterize the situation, there is an urgent need for change, for empowerment, and for a renewed sense of purpose among the young people. This, he said, should lead to them making conscious choices that lead to positive outcomes. DCP Bailey was speaking at a recent graduation exercise at Magoti High School in St. Elizabeth. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.